John Wall and Dennis Scott, and we got complete post-game coverage coming up here for you on NBA TV. You're going to hear from the players, you're going to hear from the coaches, and you're going to hear from these guys. And it's funny because we were doing the post-game show for our first game when this one was going on, and when Steph Curry went down. And, John, I remember you saying, like, oh, boy, watch out for the Timberwolves in the second half. They're going to take advantage of this. They did not do that in this game.
No, they did not. They kept shooting a lot of threes, and I think they only made 5 threes tonight. But I like what they did later in the fourth quarter, but you got to give credit to Jimmy Butler, Draymond, and you got to give a lot of credit to Buddy Hield. Those guys continue to play the right way, make the right reads. Draymond's basically their point guard, just like Jimmy. And they kept making shots, even though Timberwolves kept chipping away. They started off sluggish. You could tell a couple of days off didn't work for them. But give credit to the Warriors to continue to compete the way they did in the second half when knowing Steph Curry was out.
Yeah, I'm stuck, guys, because you got to give Steve Kerr and what the Warriors did and showed their championship pedigree on how they mucked the game up a little bit, continue to have their organized chaos where now Buddy became Steph running off screens and just kind of had the Wolves on their heels, which was shocking. Then when you look at the stat sheet, John, I would have never guessed the Warriors would have out-rebounded them by 10, knowing they don't really have any bigs. And they didn't start Kevon Looney, didn't play Trace Jackson at all. So it's like, how do they out-rebound? Whether grit, mucking the game up, if you will, and then, John, we talked about it. You know how much I love the three ball. It's like it was just too many three-point shots taken by the Wolves, knowing that they had any bigs, why they weren't attacking the paint a little more to wear them down. Just very shocked by that.
Yeah, to your point, 18 offensive rebounds for the Golden State Warriors. If you're Minnesota, that cannot happen, especially with the size difference.
So when you're watching the game, those were effort rebounds. So it wasn't like the Warriors got in there and outboxed you out. They were just in there clawing and scrapping, and as we like to say, those 50-50 balls. The Warriors got most every 50-50 ball in the second half.
You know what's kind of crazy is in that third quarter, the Warriors actually extended their lead without Steph Curry, and a big part of that was Buddy Hield. And you look at his numbers here, 24 points in this game, 5 of 8 from 3. John, it's not like he started off this game great.
No.
He was struggling in that first half.
Well, third quarter, you know what I mean? I feel like they ran their offense a little bit more through him. Some of the plays you probably run for Steph Curry, you ran for Buddy Hield, knowing Steph was out. But you got to give credit to like Steve Kerr and their coaching staff, because the second quarter before we get to the halftime, second quarter only had 11 points from the Timberwolves. They started off from the beginning of the game. It's like 3 after 3, not attacking the basket. So I bet you when they watch this film, how they attack the basket in the second half is the way they got to do it in the first half. Because you do that for the whole game. Now you get those drive and kick threes instead of coming off pick and roll and shooting those threes. But I looked at it as Julius Randle. You can't give me 3 rebounds.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to have more than 3 rebounds. Like Ant-Man got 14. Rudy Gobert had 11 in the time he had. When we was watching the game, the first 3 minutes, he had 5 rebounds. He has to be dominant, but Julius Randle has to be more dominant on the glass because they're playing small ball against him.
Minnesota shooting just 39% from the field, 17% from 3. Going to be interesting to see what Chris Finch had to say about this Game 1 loss.
Chris, just what did you see that led to such struggles offensively for you?
Poor spacing, terrible rhythm, didn't make the next pass a lot of times. Really poor in transition. I think that's where we kind of cost ourselves the chance to stay in the game early. We had opportunities to run out, and just our transition decision-making was diabolical. Obviously then we couldn't hit a shot, but, I didn't like the fact that we couldn't repeatedly generate good shots. We should have been able to, really. So,
as the shots kept missing, did you see guys kind of mentally struggling with that?
Yeah, sure. I absolutely saw that. Can't have that. It starts with Anthony. I thought he struggled early, and then you could just kind of see the light go out a little bit for a while. And then, obviously we had to try to get him going in the second half. But, I think, it was one of those games where he kind of came out with a predetermined mindset of what he was trying to do, and just rather than just playing the game that was in front of him. So,
what do you think defensively, especially over the middle couple of quarters? It just seemed like there were probably some.
Yeah, just certainly some breakdowns. I didn't like the way we started defensively with some of the things we were doing. We haven't discussed any of that all week. making stuff up out there. So I don't know. Just didn't look like us at all. Didn't feel like us at all. And all credit to them. They came in and took it to us. So.
How much changes for you guys if Curry has to miss multiple games in this series?
Pardon?
How much changes for you guys if Curry has to miss time in the series, like in terms of like how you attack them and I guess how you defensively game plan, all of that?
Yeah, well, obviously, allows us to move matchups around and different things like that. So we'll look at it. So.
When the 3-point shots haven't been falling for you guys, do you try to change what you're doing, or as long as you're generating good looks, that's what's important?
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously, you go to the basket a little bit more. I didn't think we solely relied on the three. I thought we were generating threes by getting to the paint a little bit. We didn't finish well around the rim when we had opportunities to do so. That's certainly got to be an improvement for us. A lot of the shots are good. It's just maybe not the rhythm that we need to be playing in. Right now, we got to establish a better rhythm.
You mentioned it kind of starts with Ant. Is that something maybe
Pardon?
You mentioned kind of the energy, the spirit starts with Ant. Is that something that you and he talk about maybe ahead of game 2 now?
No, I mean, what is there to talk about? I mean, you're the leader of the team, and you got to come out and set the tone, in all ways that happens. And if your shot's not going, like you still have to carry the energy, So, I don't think there's, if I got to talk to guys about having the right energy coming into opening second round game, then, we're not on the same page. So.
When you say didn't make the extra pass, was that also mostly in transition, or was it in the half court?
No, in the half court too. I thought they did a good job of closing you out. I thought there was a lot of open guys next to the shooter that we could have made one more pass. Keep them on the run a little bit more. So.
And then the zone, they run it a lot. You expected.
I mean, they ran it for about 5 minutes, and we struggled against it, but they ran it for about 5 minutes in the second. So.
Chris, how do you impose your size advantage more in game 2?
Well, we've got to, obviously Rudy had a moment in the fourth quarter out there. We need more of that for sure. I thought Julius started well, and we've got to be better on the glass. We've got to be, win the battle in the paint, whether it's on both sides of the ball, So, but it was defensively, I thought, where we got a bit loose with those guys, and that's why we had to go to a different lineup. So.
The first round is obviously source material for the Warriors to prep for this one.
Pardon?
The first round is source material for
the
Warriors to prep for this one. Did you see anything in terms of the way they played you defensively as a carryover, how the Lakers played you in Game 5 when you shot poorly from 3?
No, I mean, the Lakers put 2 on the ball pretty much all night long. These guys were more heavy switching, kind of swarming Ant and stuff like that. So.
Any other questions?
Thanks. Yep.
So interesting comments there from Chris Finch. And I mean, the big takeaway for me there was what he said right away was just, hey, we were not ourselves. We look like a different team out there. Got to go look at the film, but that's not the team he expects on the field.
Nabil, you and I have said this, Des, for a couple years now, and we